Hello everyone. I've been really looking forward to telling you about the rainbow room. But before I do, I think I noticed some grown-ups listening to what I'm about to tell you. Will you make sure that they're only thinking happy thoughts? Thank you. Now, repeat after me, including the grown-ups. I promise to love and protect all living things, especially plants, flowers and trees. The next day, while in Plant World, I mentioned to Uncle Twotrees my concerns about not having sufficient plants to sell, but he assured me that everything would be ready on time and not to worry. How? I said. Look at these plants lying on their side or hanging over their plant pots, bent and crushed. Why do you think they call us plant people? Asked Uncle Twotrees. I never thought to ask. You don't look like plants. But you are different from humans in colour, size and appearance. Come with me and I will show you why. I followed him to the corner of the garden where a large shed stood, where I noticed many plant people coming and going, all of them carrying plants. I went inside and to my utter amazement it was full of plant people, each standing in front of a plant with their hands gently caressing some damaged part of it. The room was ablaze with colours of the rainbow. I had never seen such colours in my whole life before, and I was overwhelmed with the beauty and the tremendous feeling of love that filled every centimetre of the room. I just stood there in wonderment, trying to remember to breathe. Uncle Twotrees gently took my hand and sat me in front of a small apple tree whose trunk was nearly broken in two. The sight of it bending over in pain filled my eyes with tears. Uncle Twotrees lifted my hands and cupped them around the broken trunk and said simply, "Give it your love." I sat there with tears streaming down my eyes, but concentrating with all my energy and projecting all the love I could muster. Then, suddenly I noticed but from my hands came blue and yellow rays of the rainbow and what looked like electricity jumping and leaping towards the tree. I felt my hands tingling and shaking with energy that I had not noticed before. Then to my amazement and extreme pleasure, the tree began to straighten up until it was as erect and taller than it had ever been before, with no sign of any damage. I thought there couldn't be any better feeling than what I was experiencing at that very moment. I was wrong, for what happened next will remain with me for all my earthly life. Suddenly, from the top of the tree came a brilliant white light that curved towards me and it came down and touched my heart. I felt as though my whole body was lifted off the ground, and an indescribable feeling touched every fibre and molecule in my body. It felt as though it lasted for hours, when in fact it was only a few seconds, but it took me hours before I could speak and to realize where and who I was. Afterwards, Uncle Twotrees explained what had happened. Every living thing in your human planet responds to love from something or someone else. It could be a flower responding to a bee that takes its pollen to another flower so that more flowers will grow in the future, or a bird removing ticks from the back of a poor animal in the wild, or a child being cared for by its mother. You just experienced a tree sending you its love, its energy as a thank you for healing and restoring it to full health. Very few humans realize that when you show a kindness to a tree, plant, flower, or even a blade of grass, they sense that kindness and respond by sending you their form of love in return. How often have you sat in a field and looked around and saw how beautiful everything looks? You begin to notice the swallows dancing in the wind or the vivid colour of buttercups and daisies. Gradually you begin to feel different, happier, lighter-hearted. You put that down to being outside in the fresh, clean air on a sunny day, when in fact All the living things around you are thanking you in their way for appreciating their beauty. It is their love that you are feeling that lifts your spirit. Oh, if only humans realized that the more love you give to living things, the more you will receive in return. This is why we are talking and showing ourselves to you now, because you have always been kind to plants and animals and other human beings. We are so pleased to be able to return that kindness, especially now when you could not see the way forward from the devastation caused by the hurricane. We've always been there in the background helping you, but now we can show ourselves and be part of your life from now on. I left the rainbow room a different person to the one that had entered. I had actually saved the life of a tree with my own hands and thoughts of love. This was truly amazing, and I knew from that moment on that everything was possible. I simply could not believe how happy I felt.